Happy New Year. What do you say back? Well, of course. I wonder how many people you've greeted with that joyous greeting of a Happy New Year. I know for me it's dozens, and I bet it was for you as well. What's the operative word you feel in that greeting? Happy New Year. Well, the answer is not the answer I've heard from hundreds of audiences over the years. It's not happy. The answer is new. Can you imagine saying to someone, have a happy ditto year? But the truth is that most people will have a ditto year. It'll be just about the same this year as it was last year. We would never dream of saying that to anyone, and nor do we want to experience that in our own personal lives. And yet, after the last balloon is dropped, the last shot is shot, the last flare is flared, and the last pan is beaten, people go home and say goodnight. The next day, they might have off, like most of us did. But when they return to work, it's pretty much back in the same old routine, isn't it? Well, that's not good enough for us. Because, a new year, that threshold that we cross as we walk over into a fresh new year, it has so much promise. And no one crosses that threshold without giving at least some thought to this new year idea. The promise of a newborn baby, the promise of new opportunity, and the promise of forgotten mistakes, we'll say. A do-over, a brand new opportunity. And yet so often that opportunity is lost in falling into that old pattern, that old ditto pattern. Well, that's not good enough for us. We want more in 24. We want to soar in 24. So how do we do that? I've got good news. I think it's really good news. It's exciting news for me to share with you. And that is that you won't have to. You know what? I think we can make 24 easier for you at the same time you're experiencing more of what you like as this new year unfolds. It will require a little mental effort. It will require us to do something that some of us avoid, thinking. It will require some reflective thinking. And it may seem funny to you at first that I'm going to ask us to think a little more about 23 as we explore how we can have more and soar in 24. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask us to think for just a little bit about the year past. So as we think about the year past, let's think about some of our accomplishments, some of our achievements, and you had far more than you might realize. You probably realize, actually. I want you to make a list, and maybe to stimulate you what you might think about. There may be areas in your life, like maybe socially, where you've expanded your connections or done a few more things socially than you did in the past years. It may be physically. Maybe you've done something new physically that you haven't done in past years. Perhaps you've done something differently with finances, with money, that you have done differently than in past years. Maybe mentally. Maybe you've done something to expand your mental capacity in the past year. Perhaps more in your family area, you've done more. Perhaps more in your spiritual growth, you've done more. Well, I hope that I've given you some things to think about there. Now I want us to go back and look at that list we just talked about and see what you may have accomplished that you can feel good about. Now, I want to caution us now. I'm going to give you several examples from my own life, and these are just examples. And as things pop up for you, I want you to write them down. I don't want you to judge. That wasn't good enough, or that wasn't as good as somebody else, or it wasn't all I hoped to do. It's not all I expected to do. It's not all I wanted to do. Please don't do that. Just jot down. If you feel something, you did something that you feel, yeah, I have a right to feel good about that. Write it down. Okay? All right. So for me, one of the things I did this past year by the way, I've done this exercise, and I am so glad I took the opportunity to do it, because as I did it, I looked at, man, 23 was pretty good for me. So one of the areas for me was physical. I got into a gym for the first time in my life, and I'm going to the gym now a couple of days a week, and it's not easy. and I'm having fun doing it. Another one is in the area of mental. I've made it a practice to study, ongoing studying my whole life. But this past year, not just taking courses at Hillsdale online, Hillsdale College online, I began to take the tests, which were there to take. I'd done that before. And I began to meet with a mastermind partner and talk about it so that there was a little more connection than what I was learning about, a little more responsibility to be ready to share what I was learning. I began in the area of finance. I began to be more thoughtful about my charitable giving and how I could look at that. I took a course in estate planning. In the area of family, I'm taking my 14-year-old to school every morning, my 14-year-old grandson. And this is really exciting for us, we have FaceTime with our 18-month-old great grandson in Oregon every week. That's so exciting for us. And let's see, what else? Let's see. So we got social. Oh, in the area of social, I expanded my network of friends here in Georgia, where we're still getting our sort of our sea legs here. And I have a group that I meet with on Thursday mornings often, and some other groups, a couple other guys as well. And spiritually, I've had a more active prayer life this past year. And I got involved in small groups at our church. So those are some of the things that I've done. I want to say it again. Please hear me say this. I in no way feel that this list is anything you should emulate. This is your list. And in no way, I'm not telling you about other areas of my life. I could give you another kind of list. You understand what I'm saying? I could give you a list of some of the things that didn't go as well as I'd like to have gone. I could give you a list, honestly, like a couple of Christmas letters that we received. I'm not sure that was healthy for that person to write those letters. And we didn't particularly get a lot of her out of reading those letters. This is a list of some of the things you feel good about, just like I gave you mine. And again, my list is not your list. Your list is yours. So just think in these areas perhaps, and that will give you a good start. Now I'm going to pause here and wait, and I'm going to ask you to pause as you write, and I want you to write down, please, some of your successes. Now that list should be at least 4. For me, it's considerably more. And assuming your list is 4 or more than 4, let's hope it is, I want you to go back over your list, and I want you to put a star by the 4 you feel best about. And when I say feel best about it, maybe it isn't something you achieved. You feel as that's not worth. Again, you're letting judgment slip in there, and you're worried about somebody else's thoughts about it, perhaps. If you feel good about it, that's the one I want you to put a star by. If it's one you postponed on the past or procrastinated on the past, and you did it this year, and for that reason you feel good about it, put a star by it. So you're putting a star by 4 of your list, which I hope is at least 16, but you're putting a star by, mine's a little more than 16, 4 of your 16. So quick recap. We've listed several of our successes from 2023. These are things we feel good about. And we put a star by 4, not more than 4, that we feel especially good about, that we have a right to personally celebrate. Okay, having done that, now we're going to go back. And again, I said that my goal is for you to achieve more, for you to soar in 24, and for you to do it less effort than ever before, less stress than ever before. My goal is to help you as you move through, you feel more purposeful, and to maybe explore more beyond those things you felt were limiting you in the past. So what I want you to do is you look at your starred areas. Now I want you to consider, to think about, and to write down, actually, either there or somewhere else, what strength you drew upon that enables you to succeed in that area. Now, I know there was something difficult, or you wouldn't feel that good about it. If it was something you just do like that didn't give you a charge. That doesn't make you feel especially good about it. So what was the positive quality? Now, you and I have not been trained to think in terms of positive qualities. You ask the average person to make a list of negative qualities, they can give you several. I don't think I'll bother listing them. But if you ask them to make a list of positive qualities, that's another subject. But some of these positive qualities could include your ambition, your determination, your persistence, your creativity, your ability to enlist other people in the cause. And I'll bet in some cases, at least, you had the help of others, or at least the cooperation of others, or the support of others. So what was it that enabled you? And don't limit yourself to those few that I've listed. This is very important, because if your goals, if your intentions for 24, if what you'd consider to be more in 24, if what you'd consider soaring in 24 is worthwhile at all, it will exceed your grasp. I think it was Burns who said our goals should exceed our grasp, or what's a heaven for. So you're stretching. If you can just pick it off like that, that's nothing worthwhile for you. You deserve more than that. So it's going to put you on your tiptoes. You're going to have to really stretch for it. And if life repeats itself, and it probably will in this respect, you're going to hit difficulty. You're going to hit what I call the third force, and it'll get right in your face. Every time for me, when I've tried to lose weight, which by the way, this past year I did, I'm down 50 pounds from where I was a few short years ago. Same weight I was when I got out of the Army in 1961. And I didn't realize that until I took the time to do this exercise. So in the past, when I would set a goal to lose weight, every sign I saw was ice cream. I mean, I could not, every neon sign in town just screaming ice cream. That'll happen for us. That's natural. So to overcome that resistance, to overcome that difficulty, we need to draw on the strength, of course. But it's not my strength for you or your strength for me. It's not your parents' strength for you or your strength for them. It's your strength. What strength am I talking about? I'm talking about the one that you demonstrated in 23. Your purposefulness, is that a word that I can say? Your purposefulness, your determination, your ability to overcome the temptation to procrastinate, your ability to persist when you felt like quitting, or whatever it was, your creativity, your ability to enlist friends, your ability to keep a commitment when you've made it, whatever it was for you. That's going to be the strength you draw upon when you hit that second force. Now, I want you to tune in again next week when we're going to be looking at the next step you'll be taking to soar in 24, to have more in 24, to explore more in 24, and have the life that you desire for yourself.
If you didn't know Larry then, you do now. It's a joy to know him. If you haven't liked and subscribed to this channel already, you don't want to miss the next steps to soar in 24. I encourage you to watch this with your spouse, share it with a friend, and blow it up on Facebook. Let's help everyone soar in 24. And if you're interested in purchasing his book, How to Turbocharge You, click the link below. We'll see you next time.